let's take a look at how to find the exact values of tangent and cotangent just to make sure that we understand it. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to and get your unit circle out so you can look at it. Remember that sine is the y value, cosine is the x value, and tangent is sine over cosine, or y over x. So for any of these that I'm looking at, let's say I'm looking at my unit circle and I'm looking at pi over 4, and I want to find sine, cosine, and tangent. So for sine, I simply look at the y value, which is square root of 2 over 2. Cosine is the x value, square root of 2 over 2. And tangent is y divided by x. So when I'm looking at that, when I divide some number by itself, I get 1. So the tangent of pi over 4 happens to be 1. That one was easy. So let's look at another one. Okay, so let's look at one that's a little more complicated. Let's look at pi over 6. So again, the sine is the y value. So looking at your unit circle, y value is 1/2. Cosine is the x value, and the x value is square root of 3 over 2. Tangent is y divided by x, so we would take 1/2 divided by square root of 3 over 2, and with fractions, in order to divide, you flip and multiply. So we would flip the one on the right, and we would multiply. So we would get 1 over the square root of 3. And most books are going to have you rationalize the denominator. You're not going to have a radical in the denominator. So this is square root. And remember that in order to take the square root of something, you must have 2 of the same thing. So the square root of 9 happens to be 3 because the square root of 9 is the square root of 3 times 3. So it gets to come out of the radical. So in order to rationalize, what we need to do is have 2 square root of 3's. I can't just multiply something by square root of 3 just because I want to, but I can multiply something by 1, which is some number over itself. Doesn't change the value, but it just does change the format, so that the top will be the square root of 3 and the bottom will be a 3. So on most tables, you're going to see that the tangent of pi over 6 is square root of 3 over 3, and that's how we get that. So that's how you're finding the exact values.